Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Reality Speaks TV. I'm your host, Sparkle Denise, and
Mhm.
this is part six of our Civic series, Your Voice, Your Vote. This series is empowered by Every Voice Utica, and this series, Every Voice's goal is to empower the community with clear, unbiased information about local politics. Started a while back by Heather. So, as we move closer to Election Day, it's more important than ever that we understand not just the power of our vote, but the impact that it has on shaping our communities right here at home. So, tonight, we're diving into voter registration, early voting, and civic engagement. And we're joined by some powerful voices who are all leading by example. Freddie Hamilton, civic educator and community leader, as well as president of the Oneida County Utica NAACP. And we have Dianne D. Forgot
DiMeo.
that.
Go fine.
DiMeo.
Go.
Dianne DiMeo from the League of Women Voters. And we have Heather Wasielewski, who just joined us. Hi, Heather. Who is
Hi. Computer technical difficulties. Hate it.
who is a city council at large candidate and also the voice behind Every Voice Utica. Um, so I want everyone to grab your notepad, share this stream, and get ready for a meaningful conversation about turning knowledge into action. So let's get started. I have some icebreaker questions for us. Pretty much to break the ice, right? So, Freddie Hamilton, I'm going to start with you, Sister Freddie Hamilton. Can you remember the first time you voted? How did you feel walking to that booth? Or describe your very first experience in one word.
Okay. All right. Good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting me. Um, I can say I can't quite remember distinctly the first time I voted, but I know that it made me feel like an adult. And there was never a question as to whether I was going to or not, because my parents had set an example for me. They voted in every election. And so on election day, I couldn't have thought of anything else that I would be doing besides going to vote. That would be the first item on my agenda for the day. Mhm.
I love that.
Mhm.
Um, and then, Dianne, I'm going to ask you the same question. Well, first, thank you, Sister Freddie. Introduce yourself and tell us about your first experience voting. And if you don't remember that, can you tell me one word that would describe your first experience?
So thank you for inviting me to participate in this. Again, my name is Dianne DiMeo, and I'm a longtime member of the League of Women Voters. So I do remember because my first time voting was in 1972 when I turned 18, and it was around that time. It was only a couple years prior to that when the age was lowered from 21 to 18. So when I voted, I was in that early cohort of people who were 18 or 19 or 20 years old who were now eligible to vote. And 1972, we know, a lot of the political climate of that. Many may know the political climate of that time. So it was a really exciting time to know. And I think I have voted in every election. I don't think there's an election I have not voted in. It's just
Yes.
it was always instilled and always vote.
Mhm.
Okay. And of course, Heather.
I actually waited a long time before I voted, not because I just wasn't engaged in political. I just was never engaged. But once I did, and I started understanding how important it was to vote, the first time I voted, well, it did the credit card. You feel like an adult. You do. You feel like you're an adult. You're like, okay, I did this. And after that, it just becomes a habit, you know. But yeah, definitely the first time was, I felt like I'm really adult now, and I had input, and I was part of something. So yeah.
Okay, so I'm Sparkle, and I really do remember I was 18. I couldn't I couldn't wait to turn 18 to vote, because my mom would tell me some stories about how challenging it was for her to vote, and her mother and her father. So the challenges were shared to me, and I felt like, ooh, I can't wait till I get to 18 so I can vote. So I felt empowered because of the stories that I heard of the challenges it was to vote. And my mother's and father's time and grandfather's time. So I did that. I voted, and then when I left, I felt so powerful. I felt like, yeah, take that. My vote going to count. But then, you know, as the years went on, I kind of got discouraged. I felt like this vote is doesn't even matter anyway. So I took a long pause. It was, you know, some years before I picked it up again. And then with the advice from Sister Freddie Hamilton, who's here right now, who was like, but you have to vote, you know. So I picked up voting right back again, and then I ultimately went into politics myself and ran for office. But it was interesting that hiatus that I took from went to empowered to voting, so, and then like, oh, it's not counting anyway, to I'm back up, like, yeah, it counts, you know. So that's interesting about my first time. So that was the icebreaker. My first question is going to go to you, Sister Freddie. What would you say to someone who, this is kind of I guess I went from icebreaker to serious question, right? What would you say to someone who thinks that their vote doesn't matter? And what would you say to someone who's young and feels like the system hasn't worked for them and they're not going to vote anyway?
Well, you know, I'm glad that you gave me a heads up on this question, because I had to give it a lot of thought. So for me, and I'm much older than Dianne, so I can remember the turmoil that our country, you know, this is not our first rodeo in terms of going through this kind of turmoil in our country, with us being splintered and being on opposite sides, and so much hate among our citizenry. So I know I can remember the '60s, when we were fighting for civil rights and the right to vote. And I know the sacrifices that people of color made, Black Americans in particular. I can remember the church bombing of the 4 little girls. I can remember Medgar Evers being killed in his own driveway trying to register people to vote. I can remember the Freedom Riders coming through the South just to get people to be able to vote. And I can remember Bloody Sunday, when John Lewis and Martin King were just trying to take people across the bridge to in Alabama to the Capitol so that they could vote. And so for me, it was very important, because I knew people had sacrificed their lives, not intentionally, but because they were doing. I remember the lunch counter sit-ins and so forth. And so we were really at a strategic moment in terms of turning our country around. But I also know that it wasn't futile. You know, we had some devastating things happen, but we also made advances. We also, because we voted, because we were a voting bloc, and we understood to vote, we had some things change. So I'll give you one instance, is that my brother, my sibling brother, who was 3 years younger than me, um, grew up as a gay man, and he suffered. He could not, and he was in the arts community. He was a dancer, but he couldn't be openly gay at work. He couldn't be openly gay anywhere. And so when we look at now that people of the lesbian and gay community are able to openly live their lives authentically as they are, that's one of the steps, that's one of the progresses that we have made as a people in this country towards people being able to be who they are. So we've had some real setbacks, but we've had some real advances. And at this moment, we are at a real inflection point, because voting, the only tool we have right now, the only weapon we have right now to try to keep our country a democracy is to vote. And so I'm all about, everywhere I go, that's what I'm saying to people. Please go vote. Vote for, if you don't care for yourself and your children, vote for me. I'm just asking you to vote.
I like that. Young people, just vote. You heard a little bit about how far we have come. Although it doesn't seem like it, it's really value in our vote, most especially in local elections. I want to stress local. We all, think nationally because we just can't help it. It's all over the television screen. You're hearing about it. But what about where we live in our own backyard? It's such an impact. We have a comment that says, and now we don't value the vote after these major sacrifices. So the next question that I have, thank you so much for that reflection. I appreciate it. I'm going to watch it back and really meditate on that.
Thank you.
I really am, truly, it's very impactful. Sometimes we have to replay things a couple of times before we realize that major impact that it really had. And you have been around to witness it. And that's some valuable, real information. So I'm so happy that you're here to express that.
And our local, just let me say this,
absolutely.
Our local elections this time is a huge opportunity. We don't always get this opportunity at the local level. But this election is going to make a major impact locally. So we really do need to, and every vote is important at the local level, but it bumps up. It'll bump up.
Yes, it's gonna bump up. Change is upon us. So Dianne, the next question is for you. So for those of us unfamiliar, can you share briefly what the League of Women Voters does in our region? And does the league the league has always been a nonpartisan resources for voters. Why is nonpartisan education so important right now? So that's my two-part question for you.
Okay, well, I'm going to touch real quickly on the second part, just as a follow-up from what Freddie just said. Just vote. One of the things that the league espouses is being nonpartisan. And so the League of Women Voters, as a national organization, as a statewide organization, and as a local chapter, prides itself on the fact that we are a nonpartisan organization that is committed to assuring that we maintain our democracy and people have maintain the right to vote. So the nonpartisan aspect of it doesn't mean we don't take a position. We have a number of issues that have been studied and vetted and discussed to take a position around things around healthcare, the environment, education, all of those areas and more that we all feel are very vital for our democracy. But we do not endorse candidates. We do not endorse parties. Any activity that we do, and there's a lot of discussion within the league community about what's called the empty chair policy. But if there is a forum or a debate of anything that the League of Women Voters is sponsoring or involved in, we will not hold one if it's only one person from one party represented. it has to be at least 2 candidates being represented at a forum, because we do not want to be perceived as, and we do not want to encourage anything that would look partisan. And so I think because of that nonpartisanship, as an organization, there's a level of credibility that we've been able to establish, because we have not gotten into the partisan aspects. Not that political parties, there's a place for all of that partisanship.
Mm-hmm.
As a League of Women Voters, it's about the issues and the process.
Mm-hmm.
And you've been a part of the League of Women Voters for 3 decades, correct?
Long time, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Sometimes active, sometimes not so active, but yes, involved. In,
I mean, you were also the president and currently.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
I have some leadership roles, and our local league, we have a leadership team to help distribute the responsibilities so that it doesn't all fall on one person. So we do try to assure that we can spread the wealth of the responsibilities. And I think the main thing that most people, at least locally, see when they hear about the league, they think about voter registration, and that's really one of the main visible activities that we do, even though there's a lot of other stuff that we're involved in.
Okay, thank you, Dianne. And so, Heather, why is local voter turnout so important, especially in the elections like this? Sister Freddie actually mentioned that too, about this election being special, and the next question was actually for her. Question for Freddie: why is this election so special? So people want to know.
Do you want, Freddie do you want me to go, or?
No, I want you to go, Heather.
Okay. So at the door, when I'm talking to people, or I'm out and about talking about why it's important to vote, I tell people, and I feel like a broken record because I say this a lot, but at the federal level, things are crazy. We can't control what's going on. We can't sit with people and talk to them. We don't have that opportunity right now. We can't just call up our congressperson and be like, hey, I want to talk about some of these laws. And I can't call our senator and say, hey, let's, I got this idea. So but at the local level, politics is very attainable and accessible. I say it all the time because it's the only time that you can sit with the people that are making the laws, legislation, all of that in your community. And right now, we need that more than ever. We need to be involved. We need to know what's going on. We need other people to be involved in it. And local elections rely on low voter turnout. We have very low turnout in local elections, and we can really start changing things if more people show up at the polls. So it's important right now, especially now more than ever, because we really need to start building the bottom up. And we can't touch that right now. So, and people don't understand the value of local. And even though out every day talking to people about it, at least it's a new person that I can say something about why it's important to vote in the local elections. So it's a one place where we can at least have some control when everything else is kind of going on. So.
Okay. Thank you, Heather. Did you want to add to that, Sister Freddie?
Not really. I think Heather pretty much captured the essence of it, because we can sit and talk with. As a matter of fact, we know that our local candidates will seek us out when they know that they need that support.
Yeah.
And so at the point that they are running for election for the first time or re-election, they are ready to listen. And so to the extent that we can bring them in, and I want to mention too that the NAACP is similar to the League of Women Voters. And I think we did do a candidates event a couple of years ago together. So we are nonpartisan, but at this point, we know what we have to do, and we know every election is different and things shift, the priorities shift. And so we know what we have to do, even though we want everybody to understand that we are nonpartisan, and we invite everybody to the table.
Yes, I do remember that forum, and the League of Women Voters were there in the front. You remember,
I
right,
remember
Heather?
that.
Wow, that's cool. All right, I love the nonpartisanship. That means a lot.
Mhm.
And it's
Um,
can I just say one other thing too?
absolutely.
I try to tell people too, and I know it sounds, because I'm a Democrat, but I do tell people at the doors that I don't believe in party politics at a local level, because we all want the same things. So if people are willing in there to go in and do good for the good for the city, good for the people fairly, then
Right.
those are who we want sitting on the council, and that's why it's important to vote.
That's
Because it does not matter the party, it matters who's going to take care of us, who's
Yeah.
going to carry our voices to the council, who's going to communicate with us, and most importantly, who's going to press when
Right.
things are going right.
Yes,
You know,
right.
so and that's why it's important for these local elections that people vote for the people that are going to carry them to that next level.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
You know, and another aspect, and I think of the nonpartisanship piece, is being able to provide accurate information.
Right.
And trying to, there's a lot of misinformation, a lot of disinformation out there. And one of our roles, and I think all of us on this here, is to promote the accurate information and get away from all of the disinformation, misinformation that's out there.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. So the next question is for you, Sister Freddie. So I promise I won't keep you long, right? So this is your final question, and you're welcome to stay. What barriers do you see that keep people from voting, and how can we address those barriers?
Okay. Well, I want to share this in this way. We have in this where we are right now in history is that we have enough blame to go around for all the parties. And we have all done things that we could have done better. And it's interesting to me that for the African American community, this past election, all of a sudden, Black people started to realize that they were being taken for granted. And it didn't matter who they voted for, because nothing was going to change at the local level for them. So at the end of that election, even if they could be taken for granted to vote as a Democrat, they weren't going to see much change in terms of results in their living conditions for themselves and for their kids, right? And so now we're at a point in history where it almost sounds trivial to even talk about that, because now we know that we're all in this together. We can't continue to split ourselves apart while we try to do this work for the country, for the whole, for our democracy, for our local democracy, as well as our national democracy, right? So that's the part that when I'm talking to young people and I say to them, they say to me, the barrier is, it's not going to help me. I'm going to have the same problems with the school district. I'm going to have the same problems with local law enforcement. I'm going to have the same problems with people seeing my kids as criminals. I'm going to have the same problem with not earning enough money to have a better standard of living. And so it doesn't matter whether I vote or not, and I'm not going to do it. And so, and there was a organized movement during this past election for I want to say primarily Black men, not to vote for Kamala Harris. Part of that was they didn't intend to vote for a woman, period, and definitely not a Black woman. And they didn't intend to. They said they didn't care about voting for Democrats. So those were the barriers that people confronted me with as I tried to say to them, vote. Please just vote. We need you to vote. We can take care of this next time. We can take care of this during the midterms. We can take care of this in the next election. But right now, we need to all pull together and vote. Again, whether it's Republican or Democrat, I encourage everybody to vote, because that's all we have. That's the only defense we have, is for us to to cast our ballot.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for that. Food for thought. So, Dianne, this one I'm coming right back around to you. This year we have early voting, absentee voting, and election itself. What's the league advice to voters on making a voting plan? And are there any new changes in voting laws or procedures that people should be aware of this year?
So thank you. And these are the technical aspects that sometimes people get in the weeds about. So try not to do too much of that. But when we talk, I think one of the things that we're fortunate in New York State is that New York State has tried to make it easier for people to vote, as opposed to other states. We have early voting, we have absentee voting, we have no excuse, the early vote, no excuse voting by mail. You can register as late as 10 days before the election. Now, there are states where you can have same-day registration, and there's some movements to try to implement that in New York State, but we don't have that yet. So you're right, but the first step is someone has to be registered, and you cannot vote unless you are registered. So it's important that people appreciate that that part of the process, and it's not difficult to register, but that piece has to happen. Once you're registered, you can go. You can vote in the traditional way that many of us grew up with. You go to the polls on election day to your assigned place, and you can vote. But now we have early voting in New York State, and so in Oneida County, there are 4 locations where people, doesn't matter where you live in the county, you can go to any of those 4 locations during the 10 days before the election and cast your ballot. The other, if you don't want to go in person, there's absentee voting and mail-in voting, and they look pretty much the same. The difference with absentee voting is you need to have a reason that you're voting absentee. Go ahead, Heather. Yes.
With mailing and absentee, though, mail-in ballots you have to register for every year, though, correct?
Yes. So if you're going to do and so if you're going to do mail-in for voting, that you don't need a reason, but you have to request that every year. And either absentee or mail-in, you first have to request a ballot from the Board of Elections. So that's the first step. You have to submit a form that asks a ballot to be sent to you. Then the ballot comes to you. You fill it out. You either mail it in or drop it off at the polling place or at the Board of Elections. But that with the mail-in early voting, the mail-in voting, that's not absentee, it is every year you have to make that request. And if you get that ballot and are going to complete it to mail in, it's real important that you follow the instructions. You fill out the ballot as the instructions say. You fold it up, you enclose it in a security envelope. That envelope is sealed, signed, and then that security envelope is put in the envelope that is addressed to the Board of Elections. And it's very important that you follow all those processes, or you run the risk of your vote not counting.
Yes.
There are opportunities to, if it's not sealed or if it's not signed, if it doesn't look quite right once it's received by the board, they what's called a cure process, where they reach out to try to give someone the opportunity to fix that ballot. It's not fixing the vote, it's fixing the ballot to make sure it's an eligible ballot to be counted.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of steps involved, but there's a lot of ways that people are able to vote if you're living in New York State.
Mm-hmm.
Did that answer the question? Did I leave anything?
Yes. I have another question that I didn't.
So I'm not sure if I touched it.
Can I just say one thing?
Sure.
Or I can wait after if it's about
No, say it now.
Okay. Working in voter protection. One of the big things are some people, last year, we saved over 3,000 votes with affidavit ballots. It's very important that if you're at a polling place and you think that's your polling place and you think you registered, you can always fill out an affidavit ballot. Never leave a polling place ever and just say, I want to fill out an affidavit ballot. I think anyone watching this, remember that it's important, because sometimes things happen but it will count as a vote if you're registered. You think you're registered, or you think you're at the right polling place and it's like a few minutes before closing, stay there and ask for an affidavit ballot. Again, we saved over 3,000 votes last year.
Okay.
Just
Wow.
for an affidavit ballot. So,
And I want to comment on that too.
okay.
In preparation, when I'm talking with younger people, I generally say, make a plan. Make a plan to vote early, because on election day, if you wait until election day, if something happens to interrupt or distract, then you can't vote. You've lost your vote, right? What I find from personal experience is that because I still go to the polling site, and when I'm there, I basically see older people. I basically see people my age in wheelchairs, with walkers, with canes, making their way to the polling site because that's how they're used to voting. But for younger people, I might pass them in the street. I might see them at the supermarket or somewhere and say, did you go vote? And they'll say, oh, no, I meant to, but is it today? Do I have to do it today?
Yeah.
So now they've missed the whole opportunity. But if they plan ahead of time, they can reach out for help. Mm-hmm. They may need help with a babysitter. They might need somebody to drive them to the poll. They might need a little help to get there and cast that ballot, but we need them to do that. So if they make a plan, if we encourage them to make a plan ahead of time, then we have a better chance of us getting that vote.
Yeah. And thank you for that. That's exactly what I was going to say too, Heather, about the affidavits, because that's how I was able to, I guess, register to vote after I moved. And they were like, oh, we don't see your name on the list. And then I'm like, okay, but it has to be, I didn't move, so then someone else came over and said, you know what, fill this out. And it looks just like a vote. It looks very similar to an original voters registration form. So I'm like, oh, it looks like a voter, but I did it anyway. And then my vote counted. So, sometimes people move a lot. I'm a mover, a lotter. So everywhere I go, I make sure I vote. And you're correct. Don't leave without asking for that affidavit. I know it might be tedious and it seems a little bit more time consuming, but it does work. And 3,000 affidavit votes are really, that surprised me.
That's a lot. Yeah.
It just shows you about intention, right? Like people's intention. Like I might not be properly placed, but guess what? I'm here to vote,
So we had volunteers all over New York State. So anytime they saw a voter, Democrat, Republican, whoever, being turned away, they said they meet them outside the 100-foot line, said, no, go back in there, ask for an affidavit ballot. And they'd go back in there, fill out their affidavit ballot. And hey, and in a local election, it only takes a couple votes to change an entire election. So
that's right.
I think it's important to to acknowledge, though, not every affidavit ballot is necessarily going to count.
No, absolutely not.
The person is not eligible or is not eligible in that county, or has already turned in their absentee ballot. So of course you can't vote twice. So but you're right I think it's important to emphasize that if you feel that you registered to vote and you feel like it was done in the right amount of time and in the right jurisdiction, you have every right to do an affidavit ballot. Those ballots don't get counted on the day of election because the Board of Election staff have to vet those to make sure that they're accurate. Now, there are people who the other option is what's called a court order. And if you feel like you did register and this is the right jurisdiction and your name's not there for whatever reason, there's always a judge available at the Board of Elections office that you can go to that judge, and the judge will they will research it at that moment and determine. And if it's determined that, yes, you are eligible to vote, you go back to your site, you vote, and then that vote will count on election day.
He's right. I had to take 2 students from Cornell and bring them to a judge on election day. They said they filled out the registration form. I followed up with a BOE, and it was true. And they were able, for the first time, their first-time voters were able to vote the next day. So she's absolutely right. You can go in front of a judge for a court order.
Yeah,
that's great.
So we're gonna go. We're gonna share the dates in a moment because I believe October 25th is the last day to vote in this local election coming up.
To register to vote.
To register to vote. Excuse me. Thank you for that, Diane. So while we're on the topic, Diane, can you walk us through how people can check their registration status and the easiest way to register, especially for those who've moved recently? But before you answer that question, I'm curious. I have my own personal question. What makes a person a good candidate for absentee ballot? Is it like they're traveling? Are they sick? Are they in a hospital? Like, what's that about?
Yeah, all of the above. The absentee ballot, you have to identify the reason. It could be that you're going to be out of you're traveling, that you are a caregiver to somebody, or that you are in the hospital or in a nursing home, or you're unable to leave your house. That's the absentee ballot. You have to give a reason. The mail-in voting, you don't have to give a reason, and it could just be that I just don't want to go to the polls, or I'm a busy person. I work 2 jobs. I have to take care of my kids. I don't have time to stand in line. So there could be lots of reasons that it's difficult to actually physically go and vote. And so mail-in voting is a perfect option for people. And you don't have to give a reason for that.
That's interesting, because I thought the mail-in ballots was the same. Hi, Cass. I thought the mail-in ballots was the same as the absentee ballot.
The ballot is the same. The application is slightly different because you don't have to give a reason. It's very much the same, and the deadlines are the same. The process is the same. It's just that you don't have the form itself to request the ballot is slightly different for a mail-in ballot, because you do not have to provide a reason that you're asking for the ballot. But it's an every year request, whereas the absentee ballot can say, I want every year because of an illness, because of my status. I know I'm not going to be able to come vote, and you don't have to request it every year for absentee.
Okay. All right, that's interesting. So someone like me that goes to the polls now, right? Can I request now? Like, can I mail in vote like before October 25th and change it to like I don't want to go to the polls? Okay.
Yep.
So
if you do that, you can't decide to go to the polls afterwards. They won't let you.
You can. It'll show up on that little iPad that says they've already voted. Now, maybe you've requested an absentee ballot and decided not to do it, or you requested a mail-in ballot and decided not to do it. You can vote that day, but by affidavit.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask you, Sister Freddie,
Mhm.
which way do you prefer to vote? Which way do you think is the most accurate?
So for me, voting is pretty simple. I'm at the point now, I'm at the age now where I'm thinking about always voting from home. So that's the absentee ballot, right?
Or mail-in, either one.
Yeah, okay, fine. So that would mean that every time I have to vote, I'm going to vote from home. I'm not going to go to the polls. Up until this time, I always go to the polls, so the whole mail-in thing is not an issue. What I understand from having cared for my mom until she died, I still get an absentee ballot mailed here to the house for my mother to vote. Isn't that something? And so I open it and I look at it because it shows me what the ballot is going to look like at the poll. Right? But then I throw it away. And basically what I think Dianne is saying is that even if I didn't throw it away, the Board of Election has a way of catching it. So it's not nobody's gonna vote twice.
No, nobody's going to, but I think it's important that if you're getting a ballots mailed to you,
Yes.
that it's
it's being mailed.
You could notify the Board of Elections.
Yes, it's being mailed to her.
Yeah.
And and the only reason I see it is because I didn't move from this address.
Right.
If I had moved from this address, it would go back to the board. Right?
Right.
If I had moved from this address,
it also let the board know
right.
about that, and then they can do something on their end to not mail that going forward.
That's right. I can do that. Mm-hmm. But that won't remedy the thousands that they send out. I know that they still see this has been an issue for a while. So maybe I shouldn't even be talking about it right now because that's an aside issue that they're trying to figure out how to remedy.
I mean, the Board of Elections staff do go through, and it sounds morbid, but they go through the obituaries every day, and
that's right.
They need to take off of the rolls.
Yep. They're working on it. They're working on it. And I'm sure that nobody gets through. I'm sure that nobody gets through twice.
No.
Wow. That's right. So, but for me, as I'm saying, for this election coming up, I'm going to go to the polls. Going forward, as a person in her 80s, I'm going to start to vote from home, which means that every election they will send me the ballot, and I will vote. Because I won't have to register each time.
Very interesting. So the mail-in ballots, obviously they come before election day or?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And do they have to be back before election day? Can you mail it out November 3rd or the next day?
Has to be postmarked November 3rd.
Oh.
So or dropped off. I mean, it can be dropped off at the polling site at the Board of Elections. It's safe to try to mail it before November 3rd. It has to be postmarked by November 3rd, and I think received by, I want to say maybe November 12th, something along in that.
Yeah, somewhere like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And can anyone drop it off for you, like a loved one, or does it have to be the person that's name on it?
No, somebody can drop it off on your behalf because it's sealed.
And right.
Okay. Sealed. Okay. All right. I'm learning too,
And Sparkle, you can always go to the website.
Yes.
And read it a lot. I'm one of these people that sometimes I have to read things a lot until I really get it in my own head, right?
Right.
And so we are having this discussion, but if it gets complicated, like, what did they say I should do? Blah, blah, blah. Go to the website and read it again.
Right.
And the Board of Elections website is I think, very easy to navigate.
Yeah.
It's visually appealing,
Yeah.
and I think it's real easy to see, what do I want to find out about early voting. I want to find out if what the status of my registration is. I want to find out, where do I vote. I want to find out what the ballot even looks like.
That's right.
Very easy to navigate. And that's the United County Board of Elections website. I'm sure it's modeled after I'm sure other counties have very similar layouts, but it's a very easy site to navigate.
Yeah.
First, someone that I ran 8 counties. Oneida County had the best. We have one Board of Elections and one of the sites to navigate. So
I put the best. Okay.
But
Great.
I was so proud that it was one of my counties I had, and I was like, I didn't even have to worry about Oneida County. We have the best BOE.
Yeah, and we have, let me just also share that the people down there are so good. They will, even if you go to the website and try to get information, which you will get, even if you want more clarification, they will talk with you about it. Yeah, I call them all the time and ask them specific questions.
So the website
So I put the website up here for people to know while we're talking about it, and I'm trying to also figure out, how did I get lopsided?
I was wondering that too, Sparkle.
So in this meantime, while figuring it out, I would like people to look at the website here, and it's pretty much user friendly, like the ladies mentioned, and voter search screen for voter lookup. And that's significant. Correct, Dianne? You were telling me, yeah.
Yeah. So if you go to the main Board of Elections website that you see there, OneidaCountyNYVotes.gov, and there's, I think the first box that you see says check your registration or registration status or something along that line. If you put that, you will get a screen that'll come up where you put your name and your county and your date of birth, I think. And then it'll show you if you're registered, what party you're registered in, where you vote, what your congressional districts are, things along those lines. So it's a very easy way to confirm that you're registered and where you're registered to vote.
Okay. Sparkle, you still didn't get yourself straightened out?
I see.
Okay. I think I'm back here. Let me just get this off the screen. Can I be heard?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. I'm just trying to figure out what's up with this layout. Give me a second, because it's just me here. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Clear.
Can you see us?
Not yet. I can hear you though, and I'm just trying to figure out the layout. That's weird. It just shifted out of nowhere, and I'm trying to get it back to reality, but it's not happening quick enough. Okay, let's see. No. Oh Lord. All right.
No, you're very close to the hour being up.
Yeah, exactly. So, but this is not good though. Is this the layout? No. I'm trying to still. Oh, here we go. Layout. All right. Here we are. There we go.
There we go.
I was determined. Okay, so I do have a couple of questions. And we're going to take from the audience, and then Dianne, I have one more question for you, and I believe Heather, one more question for you. So it says, Yakarius is watching from YouTube, and he says, I do not trust politicians or politics. Tell me, why should I trust this election or these local politicians? Anybody want to grab that one? I
Well, I
dare
would
you.
say, go ahead.
I was going to say, I dare you.
I feel like I'm on the spot for that one. I think it's who's when it comes to trust, it's hard to trust anybody because the only time you see them at your door is when it comes time for election. But it's what they're saying to you. You know, what are they saying to you? What are they putting out there for you to understand? Are they in the public? Are they knocking on your doors? What are they doing? You know, we have to start somewhere right now. In this next election for a local one, as for the local part, we have a good slate of people that are running this year. And I feel like we have to start somewhere. And yeah, it's hard because people will say that at the door, like, how can you? I'm like, I'm a good communicator. I like the press. I live for this. So if I'm talking as a politician or someone that wants to be, this is something I'm very passionate about, and I care genuinely about people. And that's it. I mean, look and see who's running that you've seen do other things. What does their platform look like? What have they been doing? You know, so I guess that's the only thing I can really give as advice. That's what I look for when people are running. Like, what are you doing? What have I seen you do before? You know, is this just for fun? Are you a nice person? Like, how much do you know about politics? Do you go to meetings? Are you in neighborhood association meetings? What are you doing? So that's how I.
Yeah, and to one of Heather's earlier points, I think because it's a local election, they're local elections, it's a lot easier to hold local elected officials accountable.
Yeah.
And it's a much easier to go to a meeting, to call them up, to go and to see them on the streets and the grocery stores. And it's that you hold people accountable from what they said and what their actions are.
Yeah. And show up at those meetings and have people behind you. You know, that's the only way things get done. I know we say this all the time, and we're barely moving that needle, I think. But you need to show up and, like she said, hold them accountable for what they said they were going to do. I think that's the thing.
And most of these politicians have websites.
Yeah.
So, and they are basically, most of them will put their platforms on their websites. They have phone numbers. You can call them and talk to them. And generally, they are moving around in the community looking for every opportunity to talk to groups of people. So you have an opportunity to have a one-on-one conversation with a politician. One of the things that we haven't done well in the past is hold them accountable. So if you are talking with somebody and they convince you that you are going to take a chance and vote for them, then watch what they do during their term and hold them accountable. And that's the only way. We can't beforehand tell you to who you should vote for, but you have an opportunity. That's the good part. You have an opportunity to talk with these people, and they need to convince you that you're going to take a chance and vote for them.
Thank you. And thank you, Yacht Carriers, for your question. Did you want to touch that, Diane, or did they?
No, I think,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. They did their thing on there. All right. So Angela Carr says, "Hey, my friend, thank you for watching."
Tell her hi.
Yes.
I love her.
Yes. And she also wants to know, what if a person moves? She's watching from Facebook. Thank you for watching, Angela. What if a person moved? I think we said something about it, but
yeah. So if you're still in the same election, it's important to make sure that you notify the Board of Election and you fill out a new registration form, but every time when you move, so that accurate information gets mailed to you. But it also, it would determine if you're in a different voting district. So if you move, it's important to notify the Board of Elections. They will give you a new registration form to complete. If you moved and didn't have a chance to do that and you go to vote, and again, we talked about the affidavit process. There is a process that you can still vote, and it would and your vote will count through the affidavit process. But it's important, if you move, notify the Board of Elections so that that information can get recorded correctly.
So if someone moved, do they have a window? Like say if they moved within the last 3 to 6 months or last 30 days, can they go to where they were living before and vote there? Or how does that work?
The answer, I think, is yes. Yeah. Again, you may be in a different city district. You may be in a different town. I mean, there's nuances.
Yeah.
Every situation has its unique.
That's right.
And the authorities try to encourage you not to do that.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, I think the best thing, yeah, you're right. I mean, the best thing to do is to call the Board of Elections. They'll tell you exactly what you should do and what you can do and what's allowed.
Okay. Thank you, Angela, for that question. And she says, okay, thank you. All right. So this next question is for you, Heather. Update. How's everything going while you're out canvassing? We want to update for those who's listening and learning. Did you learn anything new from the last time, interesting, or any experience that you would like to highlight?
I knock doors probably 5 or 6 days a week, maybe 6 days a week. I think today was the only day I didn't do it. But but no, it's really the same thing. When I'm going to every door, it's really that people want better communication. People want to be heard. People want to know where their tax dollars are going. People want public safety. In the end, it's really the same thing that everybody wants. They all just want to be heard. They want to know what's going on. I think honestly, the hardest thing I've had so far is with the property tax on people with fixed incomes. I think that's been the hardest part for me. We get people at the door who are emotional because it's not just the property tax that's bothering them. It's the federal level weighing down on them. They're really relying on community and our administration to not continue to put the burden on them. People want their roads to be paved. It's really the same stuff, but they just want people that are actually going to listen and hold the administration accountable for these things. I think that's a really important thing. People have gotten fed up lately. You can feel it at the doors. It's a different vibe than I've canvassed a lot over the years and done campaign work, but this is a different time. This is a different vibe. People are really serious. People want to see change. They want to see things done, and they're ready to have new people do that. So that's where I'm at. I know I think I mumble jumbled and everything all over, but it really is the same. No matter what part of the city, there are different things that happen with each part of each ward, but in the end, they just want to be heard. And that's where I'm at right now with all of that. It's just I'm knocking doors until November 4th. So I just won't stop. I'm just, if you're mowing your lawn, you're not safe. I'm going to come up to you. I'm like, hi.
Pick a few weeds together.
What's that?
Let's pick weeds together.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, hey, I know you're busy, but let's talk. No, you meet a whole different view of the city. If you think you understand or know the city, knock on doors because you know nothing. Those things like roads, public safety, property tax are bullet points. But when you hear the stories behind them, it's deeper than that. You hear all the time people are like, oh, they just want their roads done. No, people want their roads done because they're tired of their car falling apart every time they hit a pothole. Or there's roads in Ward 5, which is Cornhill and West Utica that I've been on that I don't even know how they're even safe to travel on. These are roads that have been neglected for way too long. So people are fed up. And that's where I'm at right now. That's where people are. They're fed up. They're tired.
Yes. And before you go, Sister Freddie, this is the last thing I have to ask for you. For anyone who's watching, to our viewers, how can one get involved with the local branch of the Oneida County NAACP? And I also understand you guys have a dinner coming up where I believe Heather Wasielewski, you're being mentioned in that dinner. I'm just, yeah. So how can one start to be involved with the local branch of the NAACP?
Thank you for asking me that question, Sparkle. I should be offering it without you asking, actually. People can email to our NAACP. It's the email address is, do you have it?
I can share it without.
If you
Yeah, I
would
will share
share
it.
the email address to our
Yes.
local chapter,
Yes.
our secretary, Elaine Barger, will get back to you, giving you all of the information for how to join.
Yes. Okay.
People can join from the NAACP national website or the state website, and just give them the branch that you would like to join, and they will attach you to our branch. And we go through that roster every time somebody is put onto our branch, and we reach out to them through our outreach services.
And the email that I have is naacputica.oneida@gmail.com.
That's it.
And P.O. Box 236, Utica, New York, 13503.
Yes.
And the branch is also hosting its annual Freedom Fund Dinner on November 2nd.
Yes.
At the Irish Cultural Community Center in Utica.
Mm-hmm.
And the event will feature keynote speaker Giovanni Harvey.
Yeah.
And honorees include Kay Clo, James Paul, and Reverend Jill Farnes. So I just wanted to share the mission and activities of the NAACP. I'm reading this from the NAACP Oneida County Branch Facebook page, which is really looking good, everybody.
Yes, it is.
I
yes,
welcome that you come. For those of us who are watching with Facebook, which is usually where I get the most views, go over there right now and check them out. The NAACP Oneida County Branch 2167-B aims to improve the political, educational, social, and economic status of minority groups. They participate in community events such as Black History celebrations and health awareness initiatives. This branch also offers membership opportunities for those who want to support the cause. I am a member of the local NAACP branch, and we just took a photo. So if you go to Facebook right now, you'll see me in the background, just cheesing away.
And we do have most of our meetings via Zoom, but we do have 6 times a year we have in-person meetings. And so our next in-person meeting will be in December, and we will notify people of where that's going to be.
Very good.
Yes.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Sister Freddie. So you're free to go but you're also free to hang out.
Well, I'm leaving. I so much enjoyed talking with you all, and for participation from our audience. And do this again soon, Sparkle. People will
absolutely. Yes. I sure will.
Take care, Diane. Take care, Heather.
Freddie.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night.
So, Diane, this is my final question for you. It's similar to the question I asked Sister Freddie. Like, for anyone watching who wants to get involved with the league's work, what's the best way to connect or even volunteer? I'm curious about that too myself.
Okay. Yes, and the easiest way, the best way is go to our website. And if you just Google League of Women Voters, Utica, Rome, it'll take you to our website. And I'm going to put up our website link, but just go to our website, and there is a way on the website. There's a lot of information about what we do, not only locally, but at the state level and the national level. You can join directly from the website. There's a little join button. The process for joining was just changed within the past year so that there is a suggested dues, but it's not, but there, it is a sliding fee, and people can pay what they feel they want, either more or less than the suggested, as low as $20. So it's really meant to try to reduce some of the barriers for people, allow people to join who might financially not feel that they can invest a whole lot to participate. But there is a lot of information on the website. It doesn't cost anything to get on the website, but we certainly enjoy having membership involved. We do have meetings 6 times a year. Every other month we hold a meeting at an in-person meeting, but we are also doing some informal get-togethers. In fact, we're next Thursday, which is October 16th. We're going to informally just get together at Swifties at, I think, 5 o'clock and hang out. And anybody who would like to come and either hear more about the board, learn, just talk to other people who are like-minded, have a sandwich, and just enjoy hanging out with other people. Swifties next Thursday, the 16th at 5 o'clock. But you're more than welcome to go to our website, get information, and we can communicate back to people.
Okay, so this camera is doing whatever it wants to do, so I'm not going to touch it again. I'm gonna. Oh, here we go. Every time I try to go to a website, thank you so much, Heather, for sending me the link to the website. I try to open up the website and see if I can integrate it to our conversation, and then I end up lopsided. So we're gonna troubleshoot that another time. But could you please tell me the website so I can tell the listener audience?
Sure. It's I think the easiest thing, because it's kind of long, the easiest thing is just to
put in your comments or do a status maybe, because it's a long website.
Okay.
Like when I say it's like more letters in the alphabet, it is.
Put it in here. I don't know how to do that.
So you know what? I'm going to take Heather's advice, and I'm going to put it to whoever's listening now. I'm going to put it in the comment section.
Yeah.
So
but if you just Google League of Women Voters Utica Rome, and it'll take you to the website.
All right, there you are. So I just want to inform people that our next conversation will be put up more of a panel, and that's going to be our next Civic Series Part 7 is going to be, because it came through Jack. He actually suggested that, and I'm going to take him up on his suggestion. So that's going to be October 19th. I want people to save the date. We're going to have a panel right here with local people who are running. Heather, of course, Jack, maybe even Frank again. And then we're going to have, so far I have 3 community members who are willing to be on the panel. I'm going to shoot for one more. So if anyone who's listening who wants to be on the community panel, when you ask these local city council members, and perhaps maybe even the judges back, to ask them a question live, or if you want to submit your question because perhaps you're camera shy, or maybe for whatever reason, you can do so at realityspeakstv@gmail.com. I'll be happy to ask the question on your behalf. But just save the date that October 19th, Sunday at 7 p.m., we're going to have a panel of people who are running for office locally, and you'll be able to ask them those questions. So bring those tough questions. You know, let's have these hard conversations. It doesn't have to be hard, right? If we're transparent anyway. So I already have some questions. So hold on, people. I've been getting a lot of feedback from others. And I just want to take this opportunity to say, wow, what a wonderful, powerful, and informative conversation we had here tonight. I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to Heather Wasielewski from Every Voice Utica. Like I mentioned to you, this is empowered by her movement. And Freddie Hamilton and Dianne DiMeo
Yeah. I'll answer
for,
anything.
for sharing their insights and commitment to civic engagement. We hope that this discussion has given you the motivation, the tools, and the clarity. So make sure your voice is heard at the ballot box. But before we go, I didn't mention no dates, right? We mentioned them, but I want to really register. So what you need to know is that you have to register by October 25th. If you haven't already registered, vote early at any voting site. Voting early at any early voting site nearby from October 25th to November 2nd, or vote in person on Election Day, November 4th, from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. So I'm going to say this again. We shared the Oneida County website, and I'm going to put it back up. But the Oneida County Board of Elections, which covers Utica, New York, and also Rome, has published the 2025 election calendars, and it has all the key dates on the website. So voter registration deadline in order to be eligible to vote in the general election will be Saturday, October 25th, 2025. The early voting period is from Saturday, October 25th through Sunday, November 2nd, 2025. The last day to apply for an absentee ballot in person is Tuesday, November 3rd, 2025, and Election Day. General election is Tuesday, November 4th, 2025, and the polls are open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. So for anyone who's watching who doesn't feel comfortable with any of these things that I just said, I will help you. I will hold your hand and walk you through it. I'm sure Dianne and Heather feels the same way, but bother me and Dianne before Heather. She's busy, okay? So again, the email for that is realityspeakstv@gmail.com. And Heather, did you send me something else?
No, I just sent you the Facebook for NAACP in the Oneida County.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. And then, so I wanted to say thank you again for all the people who are watching, the people who commented on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you so much. You're the real MVP. And remember to vote. I hope this discussion helps. And don't forget and don't wait. Make your plan to vote. It's very, very important, especially on this local level. And mark your calendars for Civic Series Part 7. It's coming soon, October 19th at 7 p.m. We'll be taking questions from the community for local candidates. And thank you for tuning in to Reality Speaks TV, where it's real people, real talk, and real time. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and use your voice. Good night, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.